Good morning, brothers and sisters. Happy resurrection morning to all of you. We thank God that Jesus is now out of the tomb. He's risen and he's shown himself to Mary and have shown himself to the disciples. And now we find ourselves on this wonderful morning. For the last 2,000 years, Christians all over the world have celebrated this resurrection morning. Our scripture reading for this morning is found in John the 19th chapter, verses 38 through 42. And it reads, "And after this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Jesus, but secretly for fear of the Jews, besought Pilate that he might take away the body of Jesus. And Pilate gave him leave. He came therefore and took the body of Jesus. And there came also Nicodemus, which at the first came to Jesus by night, and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloe, about 100 pound weight. Then took they the body of Jesus, and wound it in linen clothes with spices, as the manner of the Jews is to bury. Now in the place where he was crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new sepulchre, wherein was never man yet laid. There laid they Jesus, therefore because of the Jews' preparation day, for the sepulchre was nigh at hand." Verse 38, the first three words of that verse, "And after this." And that's what we want to talk about on this resurrection morning. And after this, we have found ourselves in a place that we've never been before. Baby boomers and this We Too movement and the Gen X generation, we've not seen the kind of pandemic that we are experiencing because it is one of the most catastrophic things in our lifetime. And so many people are in fear, many of them are in trepidation, many of them are afraid yet to go outside. Some are afraid that they will contract this disease, this virus, this coronavirus. But I want to tell you this, that this is not the first time in human history that we found ourselves at this place. Several years ago, especially in the 1970s, we heard of a new disease, a new virus called the HIV virus. We were perplexed, we were troubled, we were in despair. Scientists and experts were working around the clock and overnight trying to find a remedy. Now you could have HIV and test positive and not show any signs, and you could live for a long time. Our brother, the all-star NBA basketball player Magic Johnson, had it. And 20, almost 30 years have come, and he's still alive and thriving and doing well. He made it, even though he had the disease. He overcame the disease. Others died because of the disease. And I thought that after the HIV, the kind of disease it was, the way it affected so many communities around the world, I thought the world would come in reverence, we would come in agreement that we would walk a certain kind of way, we would live a certain kind of lifestyle. But after we found a cure for it, we continued our ways. And that's like what we are now with this coronavirus. They'll find a cure. I'm sure they will. But I wonder, will we continue our ways? Will we continue to do what we've done? We find in this scripture that Jesus had an awful day, an awful week from Sunday to Saturday. The week, we find that after they came to get his body, but we must look after the betrayal. And not only do we see the betrayal, but also after the beatings. And not only after the beatings, but after the burial. When we look after the betrayal, Judas Iscariot had befriended Jesus. He was the treasurer for this itinerant group of young men from Galilee. And it's Judas who allows the enemy to convince him to sell out Jesus Christ for 30 pieces of silver. We look and see that Jesus, with his close inner circle, Peter, James, and John, he asked them to go to the garden and to pray with them. And we find out that even when we look at after the betrayal, we see the followers' failure. What was their failure? Their failure that they could not pray for him. He asked them, pray with me, pray for me for a while where we can at least, amen, overcome that which is to come. And they couldn't pray for him. They went to sleep on him. They couldn't stay awake. They slept while Jesus was praying and agonizing over what he had to face. But not only that, because when Judas came with the scribes and the men who marshaled, who those were in police power and authority, they came and to get him, that these same men couldn't protect him. Peter took out a sword and took the man's ear off, but Jesus told him, no, we can't live by the sword, and picked the man's ear and put it back again. After the betrayal,